All right.
Hello, and welcome to Tap That MTG, the show where we tell you everything we know about Magic the Gathering, which is probably wrong, but fun to talk about. Today, we are here to talk to you about our impressions of War of the Sparks after pre-release, and some of our predictions and whether they were right, whether they were wrong, and kind of what we saw for the limited format. Of course, what we saw isn't necessarily everything that could possibly be seen, and we don't want to take up a million hours telling you every possible thing that could have gone right or could have gone wrong. That's what other videos are for. So today we're just going to talk to you about the stuff that we did see during our pre-releases. Yeah. And we'd love to hear from you down below of what you saw, what went well, what works in limited. Start the conversation. We'd love to hear it. So, without further ado.
Yeah. So
what were those? Of course you're going to win if you get that.
I think the biggest thing that I saw on the weekend, I saw both days, was the boar, the big Raz boar. If you had him, pretty much you were gonna. If you got him out, you were gonna win the game.
Pretty much any of the gods.
It's pretty hard, yeah.
If you got them and your opponent didn't have any way to deal with them, and there was ways, but if you just won. So the people that I saw that got first, second, third, or were up there in some way, shape, or form usually had some god or some larger thing. There were some what about planeswalkers? Did we see a lot of like big planeswalkers in this set? Because I know there's a million planeswalkers, so which ones won people the games, if any?
Well, what I saw, a lot of people got Nicol Bolas and Niv Mizzet, but they didn't necessarily win with them. The ones that I saw was Kaya, Liliana for sure, and Chandra.
Yeah,
Chandra.
I got Chandra.
Pretty awesome.
I was very happy with Chandra. I wasn't sure going in. I was kind of like, well, we'll see how she does. Someone killed themselves inadvertently by hitting my Chandra
because of her.
And then I swung in the next turn for she was up to a 7, and I was gonna -7 her the next turn. And so it was like, well, kill her or take her out or something, or I lose. But as it turns out, they lost anyway. So that was one of the big planeswalkers. You said you had Kaya.
Yeah, Kaya worked really, really well for me because of her being able to get rid of creatures. So I'd get rid of their big beastie boy, and then I would flash her back into my hand. I did that a couple times too.
Well, and that brings up a good point, because I think that one of the keys to this set wasn't necessarily the big creatures. Of course, if you get the big things, there's a good chance that you're going to win. But I saw a lot of game after games being won based on your key things that you need to have when you draft, which are removal, evasion, or what did we call it? Disruption.
Disruption. Fancy word that we use.
Let's be disruptive.
Yes.
I'm sure it's already a magic term, but we just are going to take claim that we made that up. It's ours.
It's our word.
So yeah, what are some of the key things that you saw for removal and disruption and evasion?
Well, D-Spark.
Yeah. You had 2 of those.
I had 2 of those.
You lucky duck.
I was very lucky. I think that's one of the reasons why I won.
Yeah.
A lot. Yes. D-Spark in particular.
Well, I won some games and I didn't even have any D-Sparks, so...
What did you have?
Oh, well.
You had something else.
I did. I had Widespread Brutality, which was amazing.
Her signature.
I used it so many times to wipe the board. Pretty much every game that I got it. I only got one of them. It was foil, and I love it. But yeah, because you have your army out there.
It's probably you've got to go in the Dirty Grandma deck, I think.
Yeah, if nobody had, if you have the armies. I had to go with a mass. It worked really well. I had a mass.
Right.
So if you were using a mass, then it worked really well, because it does damage to your creatures as well. So it will wipe your board, but it'll leave you with just this massive army, because you're amassing as well as doing damage after that to everybody's things. So D-Spark. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
D-Spark and Widespread Brutality. What about... You mentioned Arlen's Wolf at one point.
Yeah, because a lot of the decks that I saw on the weekend were using that little wolf guy, a wolf, mostly because he is unblockable by creatures with power 2 or less.
So there's your evasion, things that...
He is getting in there. And
there was a lot of like
Yeah.
little creatures that you started with. There's a lot
Yeah.
of big creatures too, but most of them were little.
and it was just getting in there and getting in a lot of
Because
damage.
he's only 3 mana cost.
It was a
He's
very,
big
very
right up
aggressive
early.
card.
It's another 3/2.
Yeah.
You were talking about 3/2s in our last
Yeah.
video. So
Yeah.
awesome. What about God Pharaoh's statue? I know there was quite a few people who won, or were in the top 3 or 4 in our. We were at 2 pre-releases that were in our pre-releases that had God Pharaoh's statue being used. Amazing card.
You wouldn't think it would be.
Because it cost 6.
It cost 6.
It didn't make our predictions.
But what was happening quite a bit in a lot of the decks where people were playing a lot more instances and sorceries than is kind of typical for pre-release. Like you
This is
usually
a
only
slower
have, what do we
format.
say, 4 to 6 of them, but people were playing like 6, 7, 8.
It was actually either really, really fast, your games were super fast,
Yeah.
or
Really
you went to
slow.
time.
Yeah.
So the people that finished really early were waiting around for a long time because every single round, in every single pre-release, in every single thing that we went to time because people were playing a lot of spells and trying to do a little bit of those janky things, controlling stuff. So making that stuff cost 2 less or 2 more, is amazing.
Yeah, that hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. And then I guess the other thing is flying for evasion.
Yes.
There's a lot of great flyers in this set, but
Yours
my
in
all-time
particular?
favorite, which I predicted would be good and I was watching for it, I was so happy, is my Eternal Skylord. And really good card. I love that card, especially because I was using a mass. So not only do I put out my army, I am mass 2, I widespread brutality the entire board, and then the next turn I put out my Eternal Skylord and fly over their head, even if they were able to put out down a blocker. Now they can't block it because it's on the ground, more than likely. Eternal Skylord is an amazing card. And there's quite a few ones that your zombies have hexproof, or your zombies have menace, or your zombies have your zombie tokens have flying. And
Death Touch was another one.
I would really love to, and we'll talk about this in another video, but things that we want to build moving forward, that I want to build that. I think that'll be good.
Okay, cool.
Just like my zombie tokens have. I'm gonna have to get
my zombie tokens have
some Liliana
something.
zombie tokens too. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So let's talk about our decks a little bit and we've talked about some of the stuff, but there was other things you used. So what did you use?
So my deck, I was talking about that spells thing. I had a lot more spells. In it than I normally would have. I was really struggling to actually have creatures I could play. So I actually used quite a bit of spells. Like one of my favorites was Wanderer's Strike. I used that to exile planeswalkers several times. It was because I got to bring it back.
So exile is super important in this format, especially with the gods. And there's a lot of like bring something back from your graveyard. Well, not a lot, but if
the gods,
they can
still bring them back again. But it's just to have that option.
Just getting rid of them.
It's much better
For a little bit anyways. But it has that then proliferate.
Yes, then proliferate. So those few creatures I did have.
Did you use we talked about that and proliferate? I know I watched a few proliferate decks, and I know I've been playing on MTGA, which is Magic the Gathering Arena for those that don't like acronyms. I've been playing a really sweet little proliferate explore deck, which is super fun.
Nice.
You would like that deck because you're a super
Cool.
explorer. But so did you play a lot of proliferate
I
then?
didn't, because I could not make it happen. I didn't have very many proliferate cards. So that worked well when I had my Planeswalker out, as well as my Amass tokens out. So
I was actually
I was able to do it.
Any proliferating that I was doing was either on planeswalkers or zombie tokens, anything amass or whatever. I didn't really have a lot of proliferate spells. I didn't actually see a lot of green winning. There was a few
My
green
son's
decks
deck did.
that
He used proliferate a lot.
That was his thing.
That was his thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. He actually, quite a bit. He would overrun them.
Nice.
It was a very slow, methodical game, which is my son.
Yeah.
And then he got this big 9/9 land creature out that you can't get rid of. It's very difficult to get rid of. So anyway.
So one that I used that I thought was really great, which was just a little common. I opened the first one. I was like, that's fine. And then I noticed that I had 3 of them. I was like, oh,
surprise.
I don't really need 3 of these, but whatever. So I put them in my deck just as filler to have in there. They're just a little 1/1 first strike for 1 called Grim Initiate. And oh my goodness, I love you, Grim Initiate. You are awesome. Because I was playing a mass, it allowed me to put something out and get my zombie army pretty much immediately. I didn't care if it died. I wasn't putting out there for the first strike, although there was a lot of like 2/1 creatures that didn't want to attack then, which was nice to slow them down at early. But then if it dies, it dies, and I had 3 of them, so my zombie army died. I just put out another one and started another zombie army, and I started amassing it again. So it was a nice little common card that's super cheap that will go in any amass deck that I do for sure.
Very cool.
You mentioned Finale of Glory.
Yes, Finale of Glory. I knew I would love that card. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I love that card. It's the one where you can make, it's X and 2 white, and you make X 2/2 soldiers with vigilance, or if X is 10, you make angels 4/4 angels instead. Never got that far, but that's okay. I made lots and lots of soldiers, and I brought that back and did it more than once. So it was awesome. I made a lot of soldiers. So my game was about overwhelming them. So
I think a lot of the finales were kind of really good cards. But I think this one was probably the best one for the limited format. I think I had somebody play Finale of Devastation. That's the green one. But they never, they had it in their deck, but they never got it out really.
Yeah.
So the finales, if you let us know if you had good luck with finales or not. But the fun one that I had in my deck that I totally did not put on my list and threw it in because I was like, well, whatever, is Sarkhan's Catharsis. It's a cool looking card. We did talk about how cool looking it was, but it's like 5 mana for 5 damage, and it has to be to a planeswalker or a player. But you can always do damage to a player. Like
always.
Unless they have hexproof, which
I suppose
that does happen as well. Oh my goodness. But it was really cool. It won me 3 games, not 3 rounds, but 3 specific games that I actually took someone out with that final 5 because it was in my hand. So, in the grand scheme of things, 4 rounds, 3 of those games. That's
a quarter of your life.
It's a quarter of your life gone like that. Even early on, if you're like, they're at 10 still. Now you do 5 damage and they're like, oh crap, what am I going to do? I feel threatened. So it's an intimidation factor. I love that card. It won me a few games. And then the other one that I super loved was Angrath, Captain of Chaos. Number 1.
Didn't get a lot of good reviews.
He amassed though, and I was playing amass, and he just helped me get my army out. But creatures you controlling having menace, underrated. I don't know. It's that evasion thing again, right? Evasion and removal 1 this limited format.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
definitely.
So if you're pulling in a draft, look for those removal, look for the evasion. Yes, your bombs are good. You're going to want to have them if you get them. Awesome. But the stuff that's going to win you the game.
Only 1 or 2 cards out of 40.
Yeah, exactly.
You need something else.
The ones that we were like, So my deck, I got a Nicobolus. Yay, Nicobolus, really. Nobody that was in any of our pre-releases that got a Nicobolus, and there was a lot of them, believe it or not, won with a Nicobolus. They were all like, yeah, I built a Nicobolus deck, but I didn't win. I think I came in the middle. I went 2 and 2. The Nicobolus wasn't fast enough for this format. And I didn't think it would be either, but you
gotta try.
You can't not play. Like you pull it.
You gotta try it.
You gotta play it. It was probably a bad choice. But I make bad choices all the time. I'm just here to tell you about them. This is group therapy. This is group therapy.
Don't do it.
Do it. You'll be laughing like us. It'll be great.
Yeah, that's right.
It's great.
Something I played that I regretted because I really liked the card was Vraska's Finisher. I really liked that card, and I really thought it was something. And it's okay for it's a 3-2, right? It's a 3-2 for 3, so it's okay body. But I really wanted to be able to use that that ability on there that says that I need to get rid of a card that it was dealt damage this turn. But too many times I didn't have that happen. So I basically was stuck with this card in my hand. Do I play it now or not? So it was a constant thinking, okay, should I do it? Should I not? And I ended up playing it more often without that bonus.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucked. So I wanted to use it to get rid of people. But anyway.
We did not want to make a 2-hour video for you today, so we are going to stop there.
Yes.
But if you have things that you saw in your pre-release, please let us know. Let us know for limited. Have you drafted yet? We want your knowledge. Make us smarter.
I believe there's a draft weekend coming up
next weekend. I'm excited.
So make sure you go to that and support your local game store.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, play those cards, keep tapping those cards, and having fun doing it.
Tap those cards and have fun doing it. Tap those cards and have fun doing it.
See you guys.